Whether you're a fan of the Quebecs, want to go toe-to-toe with a Trork, or just like staring up at the birds in the sky, everything, and I mean everything, in Hytale is full of life. Today, I'm beyond excited because we got our first look under the hood of the game, specifically in regards to the NPCs. My name is Codiak, and strap yourself in because the world of Hytale just got a whole lot bigger. Today's Hytale blog post was no joke. It was seriously jam-packed with information and stuff I think everyone is really going to care about. But we're going to go just a few steps beyond just covering the post and talk about some of the implications of what we've learned. Now, if you didn't read the post, that's fine. That's why we're here, to break it all down for you. So let's jump right in. From all our survey results, all our community interactions, we've seen the phrase living world come up a lot. And I mean a lot. It's a big deal because the idea of immersion is what's so important to players, especially in an open world game that combines elements from so many different genres. Now I'm going to pivot quickly to Cyberpunk 2077, a game I'm also keeping an eye on because they're trying to tackle the same challenge, a living world. They've said every NPC in their game is going to have a schedule, very much like you and I. They'll wake up, go to work or maybe the gym, get a drink after hours, then go home. Now, this sense of living is what gives players the illusion that the world is alive. Now, let's shift our attention back to Hytale because the team is taking on the same challenge head on. After a model has been created in the Hytale Model Maker, the next step is to create a behavior. Now, these behaviors shape how the NPC will react to players, to other NPCs, and to the environment around them. Remember a few blog posts ago when the team mentioned Trorks were easily distracted by sparrows flying overhead? That's exactly what we're talking about, independence away from players. I want you guys to understand the magnitude of this knowledge. You can be off having an adventure in some cave somewhere while the rest of Orbis is still very much alive. NPCs following their behaviors, interacting with the changing world around them. Behaviors break down into sensors, actions, and motions, which are three main components for creating an NPC. To help us understand this process, we turn to Joseph Griffith, a developer on the Hypixel team who says, "We use building blocks to create an NPC from the ground up. We have the sensors that are how an NPC interprets the world around it, and that's how it decides what it wants to do. Then we have actions and motions, which are how they will then interact with the world or their target or whatever it is they're focusing on." The team goes one step further to give us some in-game examples of this process in action. A simple script could help determine whether an attacked enemy flees or attempts to defend itself, while a more sophisticated script could send that same NPC chasing after a player or cause them to seek out something like a campfire or food. If we read a little further into that example, we can make the educated guess that a campfire and/or food have some sort of healing properties, not a foreign concept to gamers, but a small speculation backed up with some video game history. Another important thing we learned from this blog post was just how detailed the team can get with the behaviors down to the very finite details. But the more impressive part is how much they can pack up those fine details, create nested behaviors, and apply them across a wide range of NPCs. This allows the team to apply a broader behavior like flee or seek to any NPC in the game, but within that broader concept is hundreds of lines of code breaking down important functions like swing sword or move this far away. Not only is this a more organized way to create, but it gives the developers and eventually the community the tools to make anything a reality. Want Trorks to drop their weapons and cower in fear every time you come into their village? Well, you'll probably be able to create a dominate idea that includes all the necessary components to create that behavior. The team is creating a coding hierarchy that is simple to understand, even with little to no coding experience, which could have big implications for the next generation of creators that are looking to Hytale as an outlet for their expression. I know for a fact that Nixon on the Game Gurus team is excited to dive into the creative tools because they're accessible, even if you have a limited background in coding. We haven't said it enough, but Hytale is more than a game, it's a platform. And the sooner you realize that, the sooner you can begin to understand why so many people are interested in it. It's the magic spice, that thing you can't quite put your finger on, that has millions of players waiting on the edge of their seats, but we're not done quite yet. I want to quickly go through some of the interactions we learned about in this blog post, just so you have an idea how much thought goes into creating an NPC. And the perfect example of that is the Trork. Throughout the blog post, the team uses the Trork as an example of just how flexible an NPC can be. In-game, a player that gets too close to a Trork will trigger an alerted animation, which subsequently alerts any other Trorks in the area of your presence. We also learn that these big beefy brutes have an affinity for taking a swing or two at each other, eventually knocking both out in the process. Trorks also have the affinity for discarded meat and will rush to grab any scraps they can get their hands on. Of course, we can't forget about how sparrows distracted the scouts, which I mentioned before. Finally, sleeping Trorks don't like to be caught out in the rain and will wake up and go seek shelter or a fireplace when the skies open up. Trorks are just the tip of the iceberg, and observant players will learn to identify and exploit the behaviors of NPCs, identifying when there are opportunities and taking caution when things are going south. And are you starting to see the picture here? How important these personalities are to the scale and scope of Hytale? The world around the player is just as important as the player itself. It's impressive, and it has me incredibly excited for what's on the horizon. And as a little bonus, the team also threw in 2 personality quirks for other factions in the game. As players explore Zone 1, they'll probably run across Quebec soaking in the sun, as it's their main way to gather nutrients, while the more adventurous among us will most likely run into goblins underground, who will use bombs to solve any and all of their problems. Now, we can speculate all day long about the creatures and behaviors we want to see in Hytale, but this is where we want your help. We know you have a lot of ideas for NPCs, and we want you to share them with us in the comments section below. Let us know what creatures or critters you want to run into during your Hytale adventure, and take it one step further and share what behaviors you think they should have. I know at this point, Hytale is pretty much the norm when it comes to new videos and blog posts, but this was a big one and really goes to show how much love, care, and details the team is putting into the game. Creating a living world is no easy feat, but I'll be the first to say that from everything we've read and seen, the team is going in the right direction. Thanks for listening to me rant for a few minutes, and remember, you can always join our team on Discord if you want to keep the conversation going after the video is over. My name is Codiak, and from everyone here at the Game Gurus, thanks for watching, and play on.